Yasha skiri. My name is Promokos, and today I'm going to be clarifying the pyramid drama that has been seen around the media. Before we begin, I just want to clarify, I am not an Egyptologist. I do not study the history of Egypt in any great detail. It's not necessarily an interest of mine, and the reason why this whole finding of mega structures and everything underneath the pyramid enticed me is because it gives me an opportunity to talk about, one, the actual contents of what the media is trying to portray, and secondly, it also gives me an opportunity to discuss how to properly navigate through all this information, whether it's pseudoscience, conspiracy theories, or anything that is very grabbing, whether it's even if it's real science. And this is a great opportunity to talk about it, and I'm a little out of my league talking about the history of the pyramids in Egypt, but that's alright. It's a good learning experience. So I first found out about the so-called presence of giant structures underneath the pyramid from a reel that I saw, and immediately I was like, oh great, okay, no, it's it's more pseudoscience, more conspiracy theories, all that kind of stuff, and it grabbed me, and immediately I was like, okay, let's actually analyze the paper. Before I did that, I went to the news, I looked at the news articles, and I found all these news articles, and I was like, wow, this is interesting. I couldn't really believe it that all the news articles and everybody was talking about it to this extent, and it was very interesting proposition that the media has towards this. And so I decided to analyze the paper in its entirety, because many of the news outlets were claiming, okay, 2022 paper discovers giant structures underneath the pyramid. And I was like, well, I want to read this paper. It would be incredible that, if all of this isn't just some conspiracy theory garbage, well, let's take a look then. I want to read this paper. So I sat down, I read the paper, and immediately I was like, okay, there's no indication of these mega structures underneath. And that was originally the intent of this video. And it was going to be, but the media's wrong, because in this paper it doesn't actually say that, so they're just exaggerating the results, as conspiracy theorists usually do. But it turned out that, the media was wrong, in the sense that the 22 paper didn't actually state these things. And that was also my mistake. Was claiming that, everybody was wrong for saying that they found these structures underneath the pyramid. Where they get this information, where a bunch of the visuals that you've probably seen online, where they get them from is from a 2025 abstract that was published on Facebook by a guy named Trevor Grassi. I'll put the link in the description so that you guys can take a look for yourselves. Hopefully, if it's still up, it should be. And so there's where the clarification is needed. The 2022 paper does not actually contain the statements. It does not contain the conclusions that there are megalithic structures underneath the pyramids, but rather it is from the 2025 abstract, which gained attention because of a press conference that was held in order to show what this whole project is called, Project Khafre, is to show what the authors found underneath the pyramid of Khafre. And so now we will go into the actual contents of the 2022 paper. Not all of it, obviously. If you come across this video, you probably don't want to hear me talk about everything that they talked about in the paper. But this video is just for anybody who doesn't know much about what's going on, hasn't heard anything, or they have heard something and they just kind of like, oh, I wonder what's actually there. I'm going to talk about just some of their main findings. I won't go into too much detail. I just want to hit sort of the main intention of the 2022 paper, and then after that we'll go into the 2025 abstract. That's where all the juice is. Also, I will link everything in the description of the paper, the 2025 abstract, as I mentioned earlier, and any of the other relevant sources that I think are important for everybody to look at. All right, so the 2022 paper is written by two gentlemen named Filippo Biondi and Corrado Malanga, and the point that they make about this paper is that they are trying to use, it's called synthetic aperture radar, also known as SAR, and essentially SAR is a form of radar that creates images usually used to identify internal or external structures. The point that they make about this paper is, okay, we're trying to use SAR, we're going to use SAR, and we're going to demonstrate, we're going to show how effective it is when we look at the external and the internal parts of the pyramid of Khnum-Khufu. The authors wanted to stress the importance of understanding and identifying the internal structures that they found in Khnum-Khufu, rather than the external. They had scans of the external, but their main stress obviously were scans of the internal structures, and they found a multitude of discovered structures, and they created diagrams, they did overlaps of the tomographic data with original drawings or whatever it is of the pyramid, and it's very interesting to see the overlap specifically, because to me, there's not a lot of information describing, okay, what's the size of this? What are the measurements? Like, there's no really indication. So, for me, somebody who doesn't understand SAR, I don't necessarily know how to read it properly. They do, because of the overlap, it does help. And you do get a better understanding of where things would be. If you're just reading the SAR map, you're just reading that, you have no idea where things are, unfortunately, because there's no measurements. But with the overlap, you do get to see, okay, so based off of this reference here, okay, we have the picture here, and then we have their scans they have, and so they show where it would be, which helps a little bit, but obviously, to me, it looks like a stretch. And I'm not saying that to discredit their methodology, but I'm just simply stating my point of view. If you guys, if you are more versed in SAR, then you might read things a little differently. I mean, obviously, I'm going to read it my own way. But that's the importance of papers like this, is that the authors are demonstrating their methodology, and they're showing how they use it in this specific instance. So they find these structures. They found structures within the pyramid, and they found structure subsurface. They found essentially that all these areas connect to each other. And what the authors suggest is that they all work together, so they're all connected, and they work together as a resonator for a low pass or high pass acoustic filter. Additionally, they found ramps that they claim may work together as a giant resonator that essentially serves as an equalizer for the vibrations within the pyramid. They also make a connection to water of some sort. I don't know how water would connect to this idea, but right after they claim that, they do say that in order to further study, they're going to have to do analysis on each and every chamber before, obviously, to make the claim that it is truly acting as a acoustic filter. At the end of the paper, they make mention that they're doing further work with their methodology to the pyramid of Khafre, and they claim that they're using it in order to understand a megalithic apparatus at Giza. And so that is the only mention within the paper of anything being there, of any of that connects to the media. But of course, having looked at this paper, which will be in the link below, that you guys can take a look at for yourself, they do not analyze. They do not analyze this megalithic structure. There is no connection to a megalithic structure when they're looking at Khnum-Khufu. So that is the summary, a brief summary of the 2022 paper. And essentially, they found structures within the pyramid that all connect together, apparently, using SAR, and they believe that it might act as a resonator for a low-pass acoustic filter. And they do claim that they are looking into this megalithic structure at another pyramid, Khafre. And perhaps the most important bit about this whole paper is that it's not peer-reviewed, or at least it's not done being peer-reviewed. So currently the paper is being peer-reviewed, as it looks like. It's going through a first round of peer reviewers, and I've gone through peer review myself. It takes a long time. It took me about 2 years, a year and a half to get my paper published and done with the peer review process. So the peer review process for this paper is it's only in the first round, and if anything, it's going to take a long time potentially, because in the paper there's pages dedicated to the mathematics of how they use SAR, like all the stuff behind it. I know nothing about it, but yeah, so it is very, very important to understand that if a paper isn't peer-reviewed, the claims made within it are not verifiable. They are not technically valid to any certain extent, and they cannot be replicated, because replication is a very important process. And so this understanding that the paper isn't peer-reviewed fully, it's not done being peer-reviewed yet, this will be a very important factor when we look at the 2025 abstract, because it'll bring everything all together. Moving on to the 2025 abstract, which was published on Facebook by a gentleman named Trevor Grassi. The abstract contains 3 main steps. There's a 4th one, but it's not necessarily relevant. The first 3 include 1, the 2022 paper, 2, applying the methodology used in the 2022 paper to the pyramid of Khafre, and step 3 is taking all of the tomographic data and looking at what is actually underneath all the pyramids. And this is where the idea of the city-like structure, everything that you see on the news, that's where you get, this is where it all came from. Since we've already covered the first step, we're going to go into the second step. So the second step includes the methods used in the first step applied to the pyramid of Khafre, hence the name of the project, Project Khafre. This is because this is where they discovered those structures. They specifically discovered the 8 cylindrical structures descending into the earth, and apparently have a spiral-like structure surrounding them. As you can see in this image here, this is what the SAR picked up. And in this image, which I've already shown before, is the demonstration of the model. This is the model that they created, and that is the model that probably gets the most attention. And so the third step now is taking all of the tomographic data, at least this is the way I understand it, and they show this image, as you can see here, showing a bunch of what they claim non-natural structures, which means that they were created by humans. This, for me, is very troublesome. First of all, how did they get that image? Not saying they didn't get that image, I'm just curious as to how they got that image, because I have absolutely no idea. The image is quite difficult to read. They do say in the abstract, they say, okay, this peak here is this pyramid, this peak here is this pyramid. It's very hard for me to read. The structures that are shown, how can you tell if they're natural or non-natural? Typically, of course, if it's the case that what they're picking up is what they picked up in the pyramids before of the internal structures, but they're suggesting that it's something bigger. So they're suggesting it's something city-like, as the media has portrayed it. So that takes us to the 4th step. And the important thing about the 4th step, I know I said it was irrelevant earlier, but the importance of it is what they said. It's a sentence long, but it's essentially they're open to the idea of excavation in order to confirm, essentially disprove their hypothesis, which is very important, because one thing I like about these guys, these authors, is that they're not conspiracy theorists in the sense that you would typically think. I'm not calling them conspiracy theorists. They are scientists, and they are willing to go the lengths to generate this overall model and to discover something that they found using their methodology underneath the pyramids. And so the only thing that is in their way currently is the peer review process of step 1. Without step 1, the other steps do not work. This whole project falls apart. And so that is why it's so important when we're connecting this to the portrayal of everything in the media. The media is claiming that this is fact. A multitude of people are saying they found this, scientists discovered this, they discovered this. What they found was, they found something. We don't know if it's actually there. We don't know if there is truly a city underneath the pyramids. We don't know yet. Their methodology seems to suggest there seems to be something. The question now is, how long is it going to take until the methodology is peer-reviewed and essentially valid and replicable? It's going to be very important for subsequent steps, or the processes for this project. It's going to be very important for them to consider, okay, we need to make sure our methodology is sound by other scientists as well. We need to fix everything so that we can continue on with this project. And eventually, if it comes to the point of excavation, which I don't think will happen, if it comes to the point of excavation, then we'll know. All in all, everything is, we have to wait and see. We have to wait and see when, if their paper gets peer reviewed, if it finishes peer review process, if it validated. If it's not, then anything that they say, it cannot be taken seriously. It cannot be taken truthfully. And that's the way that I and many people, I believe, should be taking it. They should be taking it with a grain of salt. Their paper's not done being peer reviewed. Their methodology isn't yet sound in the sense of being replicable, or the peer review process. And so that then brings me to my message to anybody who comes across this video and decides to look more into this, is take it with a grain of salt. And this is very important when it comes to anything. Conspiracy theories, pseudoscience, even science in general. But typically what's done in pseudoscience and conspiracy theories is there's an exaggeration, or there's a fabrication of specific evidence or facts, and it's manipulated to reach at you, it's manipulated to grab you, it's manipulated to make you feel intrigued. And ordinary science, actual science, can do that as well, which is excellent. So my message is, take everything with a grain of salt and assess claims. When you read something on the internet, when you read something in the news, when you read something, you hear it on TV, you hear it on the radio, whatever it is, if you are truly intrigued, you're truly captivated by it, take the time to analyze it further, to take the time to understand it. There is truly, there's no harm in any of this, unless it's something absolutely terrible. But this isn't something absolutely terrible. The idea that there's something underneath the pyramids has been a long idea. Yes, conspiracy theorists have pushed that idea, and it has captivated audiences throughout time, and it's captivated me now with obviously all of this. And it's a good opportunity to take the time, dig a little deeper, assess the claims before we go around saying that this is fact. And that's my message, is essentially that. So in the future of all of this, I'm sure even today, when I release this video, while I'm recording, while I'm editing it, whatever it is, there are the things that are gonna come out, you know, and this is another step in uncovering the mysteries of the pyramids, which I know very little about. But yeah, it's you know, this whole situation is very interesting, and it's a good opportunity to think. It's a very good opportunity to think, and it's straight up just a lot of fun. You know, I had a lot of fun reading, you know, this paper, finding the abstract, understanding, and figuring out that I was wrong too originally. It's great, and it's an amazing way to progress, especially if your goal is to be within the academic world, or if you just have an interest in it. It's good practice. You know, I'm not just saying it for the people watching this video. I'm also saying it for myself. You know, and it's overall just a great experience. So in conclusion, there is a project called Project Khafre that was brought to light because of a press conference, and the only way to really go further with this is to have its first step, the 2022 paper, be finished with the peer review process and get replicated to confirm the validity of their methodology. And yeah, if you know, you guys notice, you know, if I got anything wrong, you know, if there's something that you think I missed, let me know, please, because this is a learning experience for me. You know, this is my first video ever putting it out, you know. But yeah, this is a lot of fun, and you know, there's going to be more that will come. Probably not of this topic, unless this whole situation escalates further, and you know, there's something for me to talk about. But yeah, otherwise, you know, anything at all, let me know. And as I said earlier, I will have specific links in the description. You know, I can't do this by myself. You know, the truth is only discoverable when we come together as a group. We make mistakes, we fix those mistakes, and we keep going and we keep learning. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and take care, do more research, and I'll see you in the next one.